when you look at legitimate journalism, I go back to what I said. You look at a New York Times article on Instagram, and then you look at the comments, and everyone thinks they're an expert. Everybody thinks that they know better than the person who did the legwork.
Anyway, vaccines protect us from illnesses by activating our immune response without the danger of actual infection. The vaccine stimulates your immune system to make antibodies against the virus, mimicking what happens when you get COVID, except that you don't get sick with the vaccine.
Me, Johnny Spaghetti stain on his shirt, writes a comment, that's bull.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and everybody's second, maybe third or fourth least favorite TDS sufferer, Seth Macfarlane, has stepped in it again. I don't know if he's like dating some sort of journalist or something along those lines. I'm not exactly sure why he seems to be wanting to put himself out there at the sacrificing himself at the altar of modern journalism, but that's exactly what he's doing. And in this new clip where he's interviewing, I'm not exactly sure who this even is. Is it that rapper guy? I don't know. But Seth MacFarlane now calls basically everyone stupid for not agreeing with the science. And essentially, Seth MacFarlane doesn't like social media because it gives a voice to people who didn't go to college for journalism. Now, I don't know about you. Obviously, I'm biased. But look, I generally trust people that didn't go to college for journalism more than those that did. I don't think you can learn the key important thing, right? The most important thing in terms of journalism is ethics. And they don't teach you that in college. You either have it probably instilled from your parents or you don't. And that's really the only thing that I care about in terms of journalism. I mean, look, I don't consider myself a journalist. I consider myself, a commentator, a distiller of news, a debunker, a depoliticizer. These are things that I feel happy to, be labeled as. Journalism, there are real journalists out there. People are out there doing the work. Most of the people who are on the Twitter files, for example, people like Matt Taibbi. You can look at people who are out on the street doing hard work like Savannah Hernandez or Owen Schroyer, or people who are out there getting their boots on the ground and reporting without political bias. These people do still exist, but as far as I know, none of them have journalism degrees. And in this clip, it's absolutely, Seth MacFarlane is absolutely self-owning here.
Article about how much you suck, but they fucking went to college, got a degree, earned it. Take the time to go through all the things they don't particularly like.
I think this is logic.
Like about it, amazing. But then when you give that same power to every person in the universe with a Twitter account, has that ever affected you?
You just said it more eloquently than I ever could.
Isn't that funny? This clown, Logic, I think this is who it is, right? He's like a rap. I think that's who this is. I'm trying to check the replies, but I don't really know exactly if that's who it is. But the idea is that just because they went to college, that somehow they have ethics. The people that went to journalism school are the people that work for CNN, that told you more Russia for years, that told you if you got the jab, you wouldn't get sick, that told you that you were killing grandma if you didn't get the jab. These people all went to journalism school.
Fox doing all these other things. And then social media comes in and I think journalists are fucking incredible.
Yes, so do I.
Child, please. Journalists are incredible? Are you joking?
If somebody who writes an entire article about how much you suck, but they fucking went to college, got a degree, earned it, take the time to go through all the things they don't particularly like about it, amazing. But then when you give that same power to every person in the universe with a Twitter account,
that's good. That's good. There is no inherent trust that comes with a Twitter account. There was a time when there was a fake trust, a fake authority that was prescribed to certain Twitter accounts via the blue check mark, which we found out later was complete baloney sausage. But other than that, it's your following, it's your body of work that prescribe trust. If you hear my dogs, they're playing. They might sound like they're hurting each other, but they're German Shepherds, and that's what they do.
Has that ever affected you?
You just said it more eloquently than I ever could. It is true. Like I am also I will defend to the death the presence and existence of journalists. As you said earlier, print media is in trouble. It is.
Print media is not in trouble, bro. It's dead. DED. It is completely done. There is nothing. There is no saving print media. On what planet do you think that print media is in trouble? It's been dead for 20 years. It's only being propped up by the mainstream science TM machine.
Yeah, I mean, look, the way I look at it, like when you look at a New York Times article on Instagram.
That's funny. That's a funny sentence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta
but
read
they
it
do
in the
have an
paper.
Instagram. And you look at the headline and you read it and you maybe click on the link and you read the story. That story, whether you agree with it or not, whether you connect with it or not, has been written by somebody who did the research.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. There's tons of quote unquote journalists at CNN and everywhere else that absolutely did not do the research and never do the research because they're paid to shill the narrative, not the truth.
Who did the work, who did the footwork, who
Footwork.
put in the hours to at least make an attempt to communicate the truth to their audience.
No, they didn't.
And yeah, they're not perfect.
They're liars. They're paid to lie. These are the same people that told you you had to stay in your house or you're ending grandma's life unless you were perhaps protesting for BLM. Then it was fine. Then you were 100% fine and you weren't going to be spreading it. But if you weren't protesting for BLM, then you needed to stay inside. That's these people. That's the same people that these idiot clowns are shilling for. Like, what are they doing? Are they desperate to get some sort of media clout or something like that? I don't even understand.
You know, they're not
Still, they're just their opinion.
They're not perfect. If they make a mistake, and they do make their share
Lots
of
of them.
mistakes.
Shout out Complex. Y'all fuck up all the time. Anyway, continue.
You know, there are retractions. There are admissions of that. You know, that's what separates Fox News. Fox News is in it for.
You're joking, right? They print retractions on page 8 a month later and only after massive public outrage. Nobody's ever seeing those retractions. If you're like a YouTuber, for example, if I make a mistake, I address it directly. I let people know. I'll put out tweets if it's really bad, or outright delete the video. Mainstream media doesn't do that.
For the dough. That's as simple as I can put it. They're in it for the money. And they make a lot of money and they get a lot of viewers. Is it worth it? Wouldn't be to me. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
You're kidding me. You think the New York Times isn't in it for the money? This is one of the most infuriating, idiotic conversations I've ever seen.
Really not.
But it makes them a lot of money.
Complex.
And you know, when you look at legitimate journalism, I go back to what I said. You look at a New York Times article on Instagram, and then you look at the comments, and everyone thinks they're an expert. Everybody thinks.
Oh, yeah, because that person went to school for 4 years, got a piece of paper. That makes them an expert on the thing that they're talking about, right? So you go to school, you get a journalism degree from Podunk University, and you're trying to write an article about complex geopolitics. How does that journalism degree make you an expert on politics? How does that journalism degree make you an expert on bass fishing? How does that journalism degree make you an expert on sweet slow cooker recipes or how long to cook a barbecue chicken? All right. Having a journalism degree does not make you an authoritative source at all.
That they know better than the person who did the legwork.
Legwork?
Thinks
These people never leave the office.
They know better than the person who put in the hours, did the research, did the interviews, did the follow-up,
They don't do that.
did the best that they could to make sure that everything that they put into print is factual.
Are you joking? Has Seth Macfarlane never read a CNN? Seth Macfarlane, Go ahead and pull up MSNBC and just look for all the articles where they said, as fact that Russia was doing this or that, or as fact that if you got the jab that you wouldn't, get sick, or that you wouldn't spread. Our own president said that. What research were these journalists doing when they were calling for the banning of the literal inventor of the mRNA jab, Robert Malone, right? The godfather of it. Journalists wanted him banned because they had a piece of paper that said they were a journalist.
And maybe they missed something. Maybe they fucked up, but they did their best.
Yeah.
And then, me, Johnny Spaghetti stain on his shirt, writes a comment. That's bullshit.
What this is incredible elitism on full display for everyone to see. People like Seth MacFarlane, I think that's logic. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure. They're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they don't think you are smart. They think you're dumb. They think that people you think are smart are dumb. They want to be told what to do from the machine. By the way, Harvey, I wonder how much time you hung out with Harvey. Remember how Seth made all those jokes about Harvey and never said anything? Remember how Family Guy, remember how Seth MacFarlane says, anybody who's just can say whatever. Remember how Family Guy did an entire PSA telling people to get the jab? I didn't know I didn't know Seth MacFarlane was a doctor. I didn't know Seth MacFarlane had a degree in immunology. Oh, is he just Johnny Spaghetti stain on his shirt telling Americans to inject something into themselves? Seth MacFarlane is such a clown. Even Bill Maher dunked on him when he was worshiping journalists. Seth MacFarlane can just go away, dude. Your cartoons aren't funny anymore. You were never funny. You held the secret for people like Harvey in Hollywood and all these other criminals. You made jokes about them on your show years before they were ever convicted of anything. You never spoke out about it. Okay, so why don't you just sit this one out, Seth MacFarlane?